We will start off with that North Dakota State Colorado game. Colorado's a 9.5-point favorite. The total on this thing is 58.5. Deion at Big 12 Media Days did the correct thing of, hey, this is a game I wish my AD had never scheduled. I don't know why we're playing this team. These guys are well coached. That said, Matt Ince, the coach for North Dakota State last year, is now the co-DC, well, kind of assistant DC because Dan Len's the DC, but at the linebackers coach at USC, basically. North Dakota State has had turnover that David Braun, who's the current head coach at Northwestern, was the DC at North Dakota State 2 years ago. Like, they're not necessarily the superpower they once were. South Dakota State has kind of taken that spot in the FCS, but North Dakota State is still one of the best teams in the FCS.
Yeah, I believe they're still ranked 1 or 2 in the preseason, the FCS preseason poll this year. But you know what? I don't know if I believe in Colorado for the full season. I certainly do not believe in Deion Sanders' long-term future in Boulder there. But I do believe they can cover the 9.5 on Thursday night. I think partly here, Andy, we're going to find out real quickly if they have, shored up those offensive and defensive lines, specifically defensively. You bring in Deion Hayes, you bring in BJ Green, some of these guys. I think depth later in the season for Colorado, it could come into question, much like we saw last year. But this is going to be the best team they have, to start. I mean, they're fresh. You brought in all these transfers. On the flip side, while North Dakota State can run the hell out of the ball, I think they had 47 rushing touchdowns a year ago, again, going up against one of the worst run defenses for the Buffs last season. Different looking group this year. They're beat up. They have a bunch. They've suffered a bunch of injuries. Reading about their team recently in the preseason, so I think that's why this line has moved 2 points. This line opened at 7.5, 9.5 now. I think Shedeur and Travis and company can cover the number here.
We're going to talk about Florida, Miami in the Swamp. We're going to talk about Notre Dame and Texas A&M at Kyle Field, Georgia and Clemson in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, LSU USC in Vegas. These games all happening. They're all sold out, but you can still get tickets on Game Time. Use the code STAPLES for $20 off your first purchase. It's so easy. You can look exactly at where your seat will be, know exactly what it's going to look like, know you are getting that seat, know you have ease of transferring between yourself and your friends. Download the Game Time app. Use the code STAPLES for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. These games, they're not unreachable. You can get there. Go to Game Time. Download. Use the code STAPLES. $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Yeah, I do too. I think Colorado's going to cover this. I don't know about the total. I don't know, because I think maybe you slow things down. Colorado's running Pat Shurmur's offense now, and it's not Pat Shurmur calling Sean Lewis's offense like at the end of last season. I'm guessing that this is a slower paced offense in part to protect the defense. And you mentioned the D lineman they've brought in. They've brought in some guys who are probably NFL players on the D line. And that's the one thing Deion Sanders has been very adamant about, is he likes this defensive line. He has not been real talkative about the offensive line, although the thought is that this is going to be a better group than last year, but that really isn't saying much, because last year's offensive line, was party to 56 sacks, and that was the second worst in the FBS. Only Old Dominion, I think, had more. So they've got to be better up front. Got to be better up front. I think they will be on defense. Not sure on offense yet.
Yeah, I'm not a Pat Shurmur believer, but I think they can score enough on Saturday, or on Thursday, excuse me.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but I think Colorado covers this one. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.